Hello second grade friends and welcome to Number Corner. For Number Corner today, we will be looking at our calendar grid. Here's what you will need today. You will need a whiteboard, marker, and an eraser. If you have a small clock where you can move the minute and hour hand from your math supplies, you can use that as well. If you do not have that small clock, that's okay. We will be moving the hands on a clock together. If you don't have a whiteboard, a piece of paper and a pencil will work just fine. You can pause the video now to get what you need. Today we are going to practice reading, saying, and writing the times on some of the markers we've posted so far in our calendar grid. This activity is called Say, Set, Scribe. We'll be telling time to the hour and half hour. Now, when I show you a calendar marker, we will read the time, we will set our Judy clock, and then you will write the time on your whiteboards. Now, a reminder that we'll look at as we go is that the digital time has a colon between the hour and the minute. The hour hand on the analog clock will not always be pointed directly at the number. That's something else to remember. Now let's go ahead and have a look at our calendar grid to see some of the times that are set to the exact hour. Let's start with our marker on Sunday, November 1st. Say the time with me on this marker. We're thinking about what time does the clock show. This calendar marker is showing 12 o'clock. We can't see both hands on this calendar marker because they're on top of each other. Both hands pointing to the 12 means 12 o'clock. Let's make this on our clock. If you have a clock, move the hour and minute hands with me. If not, that's okay. We need to move our hour hand to point directly at the 12. And this is not our hand. What is this called? Our minute hand, because it's longer. The minute hand is at the 12 for o'clock. The hour hand is at the 12 to show that it is 12 o'clock. Let's write that on our whiteboards. We write the number 12. And this is that colon that we need to separate our hour of 12 and the 0 minutes we have so far. Now on our next markers, we're going to go just a little bit faster. Let's go all the way back to our calendar grid. Do you see any other markers that show time to the exact hour? Some of the markers that show time to the exact hour are the marker on the 3rd, on the 5th, and the 7th. Let's look at each of these. What time does this clock show? This clock shows 1 o'clock. The hour hand, the shorter hand, is pointed to the 1 for the hour. And the longer hand is pointed to the 12 to show 0 minutes in that hour so far. Let's set our clocks. All we need to move is our hour hand. I need to grab it. There it is. Our minute hand stays on the 12. Our hour hand moves to the 1. Write the time on your whiteboard. The time is 1 o'clock. We always need our colon to separate the hours and the minutes. let's look at our next marker. What time does the clock show? Read it with me. It's 2 o'clock. Let's set our clocks. We're moving the hour hand to point directly at the 2 because we have 0 minutes in the hour. Write the time on your whiteboards. You should write 2 o'clock, 0 minutes. Use that colon to separate the hour and the minutes. Let's go back and look at our next marker. What time does the clock show? 3 o'clock. Let's make the time on our clock. Just need to move our hour hand to 3 o'clock. Let's write it. Write this on your whiteboards. $3 Now remember, if you write something like this, does this show 3 o'clock? No, this is showing the number 300. We must have our colon to show 3 o'clock. Let's look back at our calendar grid. Now we've looked at all of our calendar markers so far that show time to the exact hour. Do you see any calendar markers that show time to the half hour? You might see a few. The first one I see is on the second. Let's look at this one first. What time does the clock show? Read this with me. 12:30. Let's set that on our clocks. Now we need to move our minute and hour hands. If it's 12:30, where does my minute hand need to go? If you said it needs to go all the way to the 6, good work. This is showing that half of my hour has passed because it's halfway through the clock. Now remember, it's 12:30. So let's move our hour hand. Is this clock showing me 12:30? Some of you may have said yes, some of you may have said no, not quite. Remember, if we're halfway through our hour, that means we're halfway to the next number. So we need to have our hour hand halfway between the 12 and the 1. Now let's write our time on our whiteboards to look just like our digital clock. 12:30. Now there are a few more calendar markers that show time to the half hour. Let's have a look at each of these. What time does the clock show? Say it with me. 1:30. Let's set it on our clocks. Now we need to be moving our hour hand. Where should we move our hour hand? You said to move it halfway between the 1 and the 2 to show that half of this hour has passed. To show 1:30, give yourself a pat on the back. Let's write this time. This time reads 1:30 or half past 1. We have a few more to look at. Let's look at our next one. What time does the clock show? Read it with me. 2:30. Let's set it on our clock. Now you might already be thinking in your brain, oh, this is easy. I only have to move one thing. And you're right. You only have to move the hour hand halfway between the 2 and the 3. Write the time on your whiteboards. That time should look just like your digital clock to show 2:30. Remember your colon to separate the hours and the minutes. Last one, let's look. What time does the clock show? Read it with me. 3:30. Let's make it. What do I need to move? If you said the hour hand, excellent work. If you moved your hour hand halfway between the 3 and the 4, or you were thinking that's where it should go, good thinking. This time shows 3:30 or 3:30 because we've traveled halfway through this hour. Write the time. Should look just like our digital clocks of 3:30. Excellent work telling time to the hour and half hour today. You are done with Number Corner for today. Great work. Turn in this activity so your teacher knows you worked hard to tell time to the hour and half hour. I will see you next time for Number Corner.